I'm Christine Dobson, President of the Irving League of Women Voters. On behalf of the Board of Directors and all of the members of the League, I want to welcome you to the League of Women Voters Candidate Forum. A huge thanks to our sponsors, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Las Colinas Association. Thank you also to the City of Irving for providing the venue, and to ICTN, which is going to be broadcasting this as well as covering it live and on the internet. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization which encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League of Women Voters is strictly nonpartisan and does not neither supports nor opposes candidates for office at any level of government nor any party. In addition to our candidate forum, we also have our speaker series, which presents experts on a variety of civic concerns. Our next event will be a panel discussion on mental health issues, and will be April 23rd at the South Irving Library. Please pick up a flyer from the registration table. We'll also be responsible for the vote411.org website, which lists the candidate for office and answers to questions that have been submitted to them, questions that are different from those you will hear tonight. Also on the registration tables are printed copies of the vote411.org answers for tonight's candidates. If you believe that these are worthwhile activities, we urge you to join the Irving League of Women Voters by going to www.lwvirving.org. We'll begin this evening with the candidates for Irving School Board and then the candidates for Place 2 of the Irving Sitting Council. I'm sure you can all appreciate that scheduling an event like this is difficult. Unfortunately, Councilman Alan Meager is out of town tonight, unable to participate. Please silence your cell phones and refrain from texting as a courtesy to the candidates and your neighbors. If you've not already signed in at one of our registration tables, please do so on your way out. And again, thank you for taking the time to be an informed voter. Now we'll turn things over to the organizer of the event, Debbie Fleck, who will also be our moderator this evening. I'm sure many of you recognize Debbie's name, if not her face, since she covered Irving for the Dallas Morning News for a number of years.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, candidates, for participating. We appreciate your time. We are going to start, as you see, with the school board, and then they will be followed by the city council candidates. And we only have 4 for city council because one, Alan Meager, is out of town. So the format will be, we'll have a 1 minute for an opening statement from each candidate, and then we will ask a few questions. We'll have 1 minute to answer the questions, and then we'll follow that with a 1 minute closing statement from each candidate. And there are 4 contested races for the school board. They're for place 1, place 3, place 4, place 6. Yeah, 1, 3, 4, and 6. 1, 3, 5, and 6. Sorry. And then we have one who is not uncontested, Randy Randall, place 7. And he is, yeah. So we'll start with the first question, and we'll start to my right, and then proceed this way. The first question is opening. Oh no, sorry, I'm brand new to this. We'll start with Mr. Nutt to give the opening statement.
Thank you very much for the chance to be here tonight. My name is Charles David Nutt. If you want to understand the reason there's 2 names on my signs, come see me afterwards. I'll be glad to explain that. I'm a 33-year Irving resident. I've raised 3 daughters here. All of them have been through Irving schools. I think that Irving schools are something worth investing time in. Ever since the time that I was on the District Improvement Committee, I've considered doing this, and I feel that now is the right time. I think that I bring to this my experience in our community, my experience through my professional life, and also one of those things I think I bring is a perspective of the business world. One of the things that I think that we have done, one of the things we've tried to do, at least on some of the campus committees, is listen to what the business world has to say. I think that's one of the things that maybe I can bring to the board. My wife and I have been longtime members of First Baptist Church here in town. I see some of the First Baptist folks here. I would like for you to consider me for this position, and I look forward to answering your questions tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Robbins?
Good evening. I'm Dr. Rosemary Robbins, and it's my pleasure, will be my pleasure, to serve you, the community, and the students and teachers of Irving. I have over 40 years working in education. I currently teach at Dallas Baptist University. However, I've spent the majority of my career, 25 years, in Irving as a teacher, assistant principal, principal, division director. My son, Brad Woods, went through the Irving schools and graduated as top Tiger at Irving High School, and he currently serves as a counselor. I know this district, and I want to serve you. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Sharp. I have been a resident of Irving since 1986. My children and grandchildren are products of Irving Public Schools. I have a vested interest in seeing students get the best education, and I know it benefits them, but it benefits our community as well. I am looking forward to serving on the board. I want to revitalize PTA, get more parents involved, and get more community involved. And I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for allowing me to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Ms. Campbell?
Hi, I'm Pam Campbell, and I am currently the incumbent for District 3 on the school board. I was elected by the sitting school board out of 5 applicants in the fall to serve in the place of Mr. Larry Stipes. So I've been serving on the school board since he resigned. I have lived in Irving 60 years, and I've been affiliated with Irving Independent School District 60 years. I was a student here for 12. As was my husband. I had 2 children that went all the way through 12 years here in Irving. My son was number 6 at Nimitz High School in his graduation program, and my daughter was one of the first varsity softball players. I've been a PTA president, a volunteer in all kinds of booster clubs, and I just feel like I really know the system here in Irving, and I would appreciate being re-elected as the school board trustee.
Hi, my name is Mashana Burton, and I am running for District 5 trustee. I've been in Irving for a couple of years. I have a student at Nimitz High School, an honor student, who also has special needs. She has Asperger's syndrome, so I understand what it takes for there to be a strong community in school between the teachers and my student and parents. And I want to actually be able to spread that and make that stronger. I see education as a lifelong journey. I have 2 bachelors, an MBA, and I'm currently working on my doctorate. And I really want to be able to bring what I bring professionally to my clients, to the Irving School Board, to actually make some change for the better.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is A.D. Jenkins. I've served 2 successful terms. I've lived in the district for 32 years. I'm married with 3 young men. 2 are out of college, and 1 is 1 year away from getting his bachelor's degree. I've served on the Campus Improvement Committee, the District Improvement Committee, as well as I'm sitting on the Finance Committee with the board. I'm a recipient of the PTA Lifetime member. I've also received the Irving Carrollton NAACP Fletcher Yates Community Service Award, and I'm also a graduate from the Irving City Police Academy. And one thing that I'm really proud of is the fact that I'm the founder and the president of the Big Dogs Youth Organization And one of our biggest accomplishments is hosting 50 Irving students to a visit to the White House. So I look forward to serving another term. As you can see, I'm well-rounded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grant.
My name's Tony Grimes. I am a successful Irving businessman and a community leader of 18 years. I'm an ordained deacon. I'm on the Irving Police Advisory Board. I've been there since 2015. I'm on the Mayor's Advisory Council. I'm the chairman of J&B Outreach, which is another community outreach since its inception in 2006. I am also the 2019 Irving High Spirited Citizen recipient. My focus will be on reading achievements, staff and teacher morale, and parental involvement. My children and I are all public school educated. I raised my daughter as a single parent. She graduated as a salutatorian and went to college on a full ride scholarship. I've been able to collaborate and build bridges in the city of Irving for a number of years, and I hope to represent you, or I know I'll be your representative in District 6 as a school board trustee. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is John DeLorme, and I'm a candidate for District 6. I'm an Irving ISD advocate, taxpayer, and community member. I bring unique qualifications to the Irving School Board District 6 race with experience as a civic leader who has fought for honest, open government and lower taxes. During my years in Irving, I've been civically involved in many capacities. These include the Irving Heritage Society, the South Irving Task Force, the Irving 2020 Census Committee, the Irving 360 Civic Academy. I've been a graduate, serving as election judge and being active in my homeowner association. As an employee of the Texas Workforce Commission for the last decade, I know nothing is more important for our economic development and growth than strong public schools. And I look forward to serving as your District 6 representative, which is solely South Irving, Heritage Crossing, and downtown Irving, so that we can help our small businesses and revitalize the area that the public has wanted for many years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have two quick housekeeping notes. You can go ahead and speak once the person next to you has finished, and then you can also finish your thought even if the time's up. We don't mind that. Yeah, not too long though. Yeah. Okay. All right, we'll start with the first question. And this is a general question, but we would like to ask you, how do you envision the district's path for the future? And we'll start with Mr. Nutt.
I think our district has several opportunities as we move forward. One of the things that I think that we really need to be looking at is, well, first of all, we have to prepare our students for life, okay? That's what it's about. Not every student's going to go to college. Not every student is going to go to junior college, but every student is going to live a life. So we have to do what we can to prepare them for life. One of the things I see as a road ahead for us, even though we've been very successful with the VOTEC programs that we have so far, I think that's something that we've got to build on. We've got to expand that so that our students, when coming out of school, have a pathway towards a life. I would love to see us have programs where students can get an actual apprenticeship so that 2 years in high school, 2 years later, after they've graduated high school, they've journeyed out in whatever profession they've chosen and have the chance to go and form their own business in very shortly. Basically, our path forward is to prepare our students for life.
Would you repeat the question?
How do you envision the district's path for the future?
I think it's exciting. I think we're going to embrace change, not be threatened by it. I believe that there's a tremendous amount of talent in this district. I have the good fortune of knowing a lot of the teachers and administrative staff. I know they're well qualified. We just need to govern as a board, not micromanage, but govern and let the staff have a great curriculum, not one that we've tried 2 years and then throw it out. Since 2012, we've had 3 curricula. Those cost you money. We need an opportunity to let teachers implement the curriculum. And our main goal is, of course, high student achievement and teacher satisfaction. Thank you.
So what I think the future path of Irving ISD is one of advanced technology, where we prepare students for the real world. And I agree with David, challenging them to be prepared for life, whether it's vocational training, college, whatever they're ready to do. I want teachers to be happy and well paid and sufficient resources to teach the subject that they're trained in and that they've gone to college for. And that's what I see for the future, a lot of positive change.
I'm really glad you asked this question because I am so excited about what's going on right now with our district. We just hired, and I know you all know this, but Magda Hernandez as our new superintendent, and she is awesome. She is on top of all of these things that everyone is talking about. We have formed some committees that are working on our new vocational ideas for kids to go into electricians, plumbers, construction workers. One of my huge passions is special education. I have 5 grandchildren, which I did not mention a while ago, and 4 of my grandchildren are on the spectrum. 1 in every 59 children is born on the spectrum in some way. So we are working, and I am privileged to be on a committee to work for those children as well, because those children too are going to grow up, have a life, and need to be educated in the proper way. So I'm very excited about things going on in our district right now.
For the future of Irving ISD, what I see is change, but not just change, strategic change. And I've heard a lot of mention from research that I've done that people are looking at what other school districts are doing. And what I see for Irving is Irving writing its own path and actually becoming a leader and not a follower, and actually taking what we have and what some may see as a deficiency and using it to our advantage.
What I envision is an embracing cultural as well as a culture of change. I also envision pushing the path towards not just being college ready, but just career ready. And because there are so many other opportunities that are out there that graduates can take advantage of. One main thing I'm concerned about that I can see changing is just the stigma of just this district, of how people down talk Irving ISD. This is a great district. This is a district that's evolving, so I really feel that within the next couple of years or so, that stigma would definitely change. I envision this also as being an open-minded vision with the new board coming aboard as well. And lastly, with the new superintendent in place, she's pretty much grew up within the Irving ISD community, so she understands what that's all about, so I look forward to it.
I envision Irving Independent School District has been a place where students from all over the Metroplex want to come and be a student at Irving High School, at one of the Irving schools, because we're going to embrace change. We're going to embrace our teachers, our staff and faculty. We have a great set of teachers, and if we can prepare our kids for life with, like I said, vocational, like I've heard before, some vocational and technical training, whether they're just want or need to go to college for whatever reason, or can't make it to college for whatever reason. I envision us being a great school district where, like I said, when we get these new industries in town, they want to make sure that their kids are in the Irving School District.
Thank you for the question. I'm solely focused on our future. I envision Irving ISD being an envy of all the school districts in the Metroplex. Our future is really bright. If elected to the school board, I want to focus on high achievement for each student. In order to get high achievement for each student, we need to do a few things. First of all, we need to make sure our students are in class. Our truancy docket at the JP Precinct 4 is very high with Irving ISD students, so that negatively affects us on our state funding and our attendance rating, so we need to make sure that our students are in class. We need to recruit and retain the most highly qualified teachers. The teachers are the heart of the school, and they are where we need to invest to make sure that our students are learning. We need to have the up-to-date curriculum, technology, skills training for our students, and we need to make sure we have lower class sizes and competitive teacher pay. Those are the areas that I would focus on if elected to District 6.
Thank you very much for your answers. Okay, our second question, we'll start with Ms. Robbins, is what do you see as the advantage or disadvantage of public schools versus charter schools, and how will you work to get the best education for Irving students?
Okay. Well, I owned my own business for a number of years that certified teachers. And we placed teachers not only in public ISDs, but also in charter schools. Charter schools play by a whole different set of rules than our public schools. They do not have many of the rigors and requirements that our public schools have. They also can, if a student has disabilities, they can say they can't serve that student and they need to go find a public school that will. And all public schools have their doors open to every child. They also don't embrace students with discipline issues. If you've got a discipline issue, take it to a public school, don't keep it at the charter. It's an unequal playing field. Thank you.
For the question, I have mixed feelings. I have to be truthful. I really love and support public schools and public education. And it levels the playing field so that you know when someone graduates, they have X amount of knowledge. It's the same as having a BA. You know that you may not know as much of them as in their major, but they have basic information. I think that basic information should be available to every student. And I agree with Rosemary. Charter schools sometimes break away from our traditional education. And if we invested that time in those teachers in our public education, there wouldn't be a debate about whether charter schools were better than public education.
I agree with Rosemary. It's not a level playing field. For charter schools, she's absolutely right. They do not embrace the different kind of kids. You're going to get the kids that are all pretty much on the same level and on the same path, but we do have all kinds of kids that go to public school. And guess what? That's what life is all about. And in public education, we are preparing those children, whether they be special ed, discipline issues that need mentors, we are preparing those children to go out and be adults that have a part in the community. So I'm not sure that anybody in either college that either of my children went to that went to a charter school, was any better off than what my children were. They received an excellent education, public education, that people fought for the right to go to school here free. They have an excellent education here and did just as well as kids that went to other schools. So I'm all about public education. Thank you.
I have to agree with the previous. Charter schools they actually kind of set their own rules of the students that they accept, and where in most public schools you you deal basically with the hand that you're dealt, and good or bad, positive or negative, you have to make it work. And I would say that it's not a level playing field, as they have said previously, so I would agree with them.
I'm a product of public education, as well as my three young men, three boys. They're also, and I definitely believe in it 100%. And I would put my boys' degree up against anyone else, whether it's a private school, charter school, homeschool. It really doesn't matter to me. But as far as the disadvantages, a lot of students in public schools have so many different challenges, and as well as the parents as well. I'm from a single parent home, so I know what those challenges come with and what's that about. So with that being said, I am an advocate of public education, and I feel that we should continue to put heat on legislation to keep funding, the right amount of funding being applied to public education. Thank you.
As I stated earlier, both my children and I are all public school educated, so I don't know a whole lot about private schools. What I've learned since I've been running for this position is a lot more than I've ever known about private and charter schools. But what I do know, besides what has just already been mentioned, is that the classroom sizes are smaller. And so if we could incorporate smaller classrooms in our school district, that would help us with our success rate as well. Thank you.
This is a great question, thank you. I'm a native Texan, and I'm a proud graduate of our state's public school system. There are many options in today's marketplace for educational choices, and I support people having choices. However, I believe the best choice is traditional Texas public schools. They call us independent school districts, but we are really heavily regulated by the state and federal government, and charter schools are not. They have different standards than traditional public schools, though they do get state funding. Charter schools pick and choose their students. The public schools have to accept everyone, and it's not a level playing field. Initially, charters were set up to be laboratories of innovation. Today, they really are a for-profit making business, is really what they've turned out to be. So I believe that the legislature and the State Board of Education needs to take a look at charters, and if they do anything, they need to at least put them on the same playing field as traditional public schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. The third question,
May I respond?
oh, sorry,
That's okay.
Mr. Nutt.
You know, charter schools do operate by different rules. You know, much of the 80s and 90s was all about choice. Everybody wanted to have choices. I want to have a choice to do this. I want to have a choice to do that. The facts are that people have taken the choice to go to charter schools, to private schools, to homeschool. Those are all things that have been effective for some. I would tell you that my personal experience with charter schools was through my nephew, who received, in a very innovative atmosphere, a very poor education. I don't feel that he learned how to collaborate. He didn't learn how to use diverse learning methods. He didn't learn how to really take personal responsibility for his work as a public school student has to. The young man was given a packet. Go do this packet. When you finish the packet, come here, I'll give you another one. Do this by yourself and come on back, and when you get done, I'll give you another one. I think that, you know, public schools, again, my kids went to public schools, I went to public schools. They have been a very, very effective tool across our country, across time, for getting a good product out into the world ready for life.
Oh, thank you very much. Sorry about that.
That's no problem.
I have to get used to this order. I'm brand new at this. Okay, the next question is going to be for Ms. Sharp, and it's a little bit more specific. We heard that according to the Irving ISD STAR test results, non-minority scores are well below the state average and much lower than the minority student scores. How would you plan to increase these scores? Does that make sense? No? Okay. The According to the STAR test results, non-minority scores are well below the state average and much lower than minority student scores. How would you plan to increase these scores?
I will tell you honestly, I am really against STAR testing. I think we have I just lost my whole train of thought. I'm sorry. We have already have tests in place to judge the education that our students are getting and their comprehension of it. STAR testing results in teachers not teaching the subject, but teaching the test. I think it's a waste of money. But I know it's a state requirement, so I would really focus on reading and comprehension at early ages to enable our students to be able to increase that.
Can I hear that just one more time? Because it's kind of confusing how it's being said, I think.
According to the Irving ISD STAR test results, non-minority scores are well below the state average and much lower than minority student scores. How would you plan to increase the scores? I think it's referring to, we have programs, quite a few programs for the minority students, bilingual.
Right.
And I think in the non-minority students are falling behind because they're not getting that attention.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understood that correctly. First of all, I think some of that information is not quite on target. What we have done right now on the board is, and I'm privileged to be on this committee as well, we've taken a good look at the data, and we're dissecting the data with a committee every month. Every MAP test, every district common assessment, we're looking at that. And the principals are taking that to their teachers, and they are devising the, so to speak, the intervention programs, and we're pulling it into smaller groups, and we are reteaching, and we are coming up with brand-new ideas. This was just started by Ms. Hernandez, our superintendent, as well as Mr. Randall, the school board president. And we are taking a good look at being on top of this particular item, and I think you're going to see a lot of improvement very soon. Thank you.
Okay, so I think I understand the question. It was kind of worded kind of difficult. What I know is from my research is that Irving ISD is a majority minority school district. So the majority of our students are minority. And so, and then a majority of a lot of our students are also English learners. So they actually get extra help because they are learning English for the first time. So the fact that our non-minority students are actually somewhat falling through the cracks and not getting as much help, that's definitely something that if the board is actually already looking at it, that we would just need to make sure that it remains a high priority.
I would like to tackle that question a little differently because I feel that we should not be satisfied with any of our scores, whether it's minority or non-minority. So, and at the point being that I'm on the school board now, that's something that we're looking at. We're looking at pretty much every subject, every school, every class, every campus, and we're sort of pulling the curtains back and just telling the subject matter experts that report to us to, hey, tell us the truth. What are we dealing with? Let's look at the data, and that's what we're doing, and that's what Ms. Campbell was referring to about looking at the data and just being truthful about it to look how you would take care of it at that point. So that's something like I said we're taking very seriously, and we are looking into each and every month.
Reading comprehension at an early age, so early childhood education is what the key will be to making sure in the future that our kids are being consistent and meeting their achievement levels at all ages. But right now where we are, if we identify a group of children that you just identified to us that are having a deficiency in a particular area, we need to make sure we get those children together with some mentors or tutors to help them achieve the goals that they need to bring them up to standard.
Thank you for the question. If I'm elected school board trustee in District 6, it just would not be acceptable that any student in Irving ISD is left behind. I'm for all of the 33,000 students in this district. We know by third grade, all students must be at grade level in reading, writing, and arithmetic by third grade. If they're not by third grade, then it is a remedial situation through the rest of their school career. But in this legislative session, with the legislature looking at education reform, they have also exposed the flaws with the STAR test, where they're testing 2 grades above grade level as one example. So the legislature needs to basically throw out the STAR test and start over, and they need to reduce the number of standardized tests so that our teachers can teach, and we're just not teaching to the legislative test.
Around 15 years ago, I learned a new word. My wife was working at home, and I asked her what was going on. She said, well, I'm working on disaggregating data. And I thought, well, aggregate, that's what you used to make concrete with. And in visiting with her, it was breaking down all the different ways you can break students down to look at how they're achieving. I think that in looking at the group of students who are non-minority students who are not performing as well, maybe that points to, as you mentioned earlier, some of the earlier intervention things that are happening with some other groups that perhaps could be done with them. You know, teaching communication skills, that is a big deal. Our kids have to learn how to communicate very, very early so that they can be successful all the way through school. My wife is a math interventionist. Part of her job is to work with all the students who are struggling, regardless of who they are, to help them succeed. More of that kind of work, more of focus on the areas that students have deficiencies with real dedicated time is one of the things that's going to help us to raise those scores.
Research shows us that there's a correlation between your reading score, reading level, and the other subjects that you take in school. I was a history teacher, and I could look at the reading scores on a 6 weeks report card, and they were almost the same that the child was getting in science, in social studies. Reading is the key. And I really believe, we have to look at this for a minute and say, well, why can't the kids in Irving read like the kids in Capel? Well, we have to think about a lot of our parents in Irving are maybe first-time participants in an educational system, and they perhaps did not graduate from a traditional school. These parents need to be helped so that they can help students at home. I think it's possible, it's doable, and I agree with the others about STAR. STAR shouldn't be a one-day snapshot. That's not an accurate way to judge student achievement.
I'm making sure not to forget anybody. Okay, we'll start the 4th question with Pamela. It's a very basic question. How do you plan on communicating with your constituents if elected? Well, if re-elected.
Well, that's an interesting question because we do a lot right now on the board to connect with our parents. The parents are our constituents. I visit the schools. I've visited most of my schools already. We have different activities. We are working with the Engage U was unfortunately canceled this last weekend, but we do things like that. We have classes that we teach to some of our Hispanic parents to help them learn computer skills, English skills. We're doing a lot of those sort of things. We have board meetings that are posted. We have work sessions that are posted. And we have started a new town hall meeting. Mr. Randall and Superintendent Hernandez have started having some town hall meetings, which we would love to see some parents come. We're going to try and do it 3 or 4 times a year. We've had our first one with some of our teachers of the year, and they are also our parents. So we're working on transparency with parents.
As far as communicating with the constituents, my constituents, I would want to visit the schools, attend the PTA meetings, and I guess be at where the parents are, which would be those that would be electing me, to make sure that their voice is heard and they know that I'm listening, and so I can be their voice.
Anyone who knows me knows my heart, and they know where I'm coming from. As far as my constituents, I've knocked on so many doors already. I've talked to so many voters, so many concerned citizens, so that I'm doing already. And trust me, they tell me how they feel, and I communicate back. So that happens, and I'm already an open-minded person. That's who I am. I listen before I speak, I pay attention, and I follow up with action. I think that's incredibly important. And as Ms. Campbell stated, again, she keeps going before I go, but she's basically said something I want to mention about the town hall quarterly meetings, to where we're we're open to communicating, to where citizens can get their responses right away, and just be more about transparency.
I've heard the town hall meetings have started. That was in one of my plans that I had written down, thinking ahead of, as your District 6 school board trustee, and I'm glad that the current school board is already doing that. I'm a part of the key communicators who meet quarterly, I believe. And so what I'd like to do, that's a meeting that's normally from 11 to about 1 o'clock. I'd like to move that meeting in the evening so that we can involve parents for that meeting. I think the Engage You that we missed this past weekend because of the weather was a great opportunity, and I thank you all for offering that to the current school board members. But I plan on being transparent and very consistent throughout the community, and expect to represent you as your District 6 school board trustee.
Thank you. If elected District 6 school board trustee, and I'm not taking anything for granted, we have to have the election first. But I recognize that 70 to 75% of our population in Irving ISD does not have kids or does not have kids in school anymore. That is the vast majority of our population, not just our parents. It's about a quarter of our population overall in Irving ISD. So I want to be accountable to all taxpayers who are paying our bills, not just our parents. And I want to make sure that we're having, if elected school board trustee in District 6, our meetings in District 6. I think it'd be good that we had school board meetings in all the single-member districts that make up our school district. Also, I, of course, will be routinely visiting every campus in District 6. I will be routinely communicating with our small business owners downtown Irving, that's in District 6. And I, too, will be holding individual town halls in District 6 as a trustee. Throughout this campaign, I put out my email address, my home phone number, so I've been accessible through the campaign and will continue to be if elected.
One of the things that you've heard earlier tonight is we have to get parents on the campuses. And one of the things that we can do to allow us to communicate with them is, first of all, be there when the campus is open, especially those times the campus is open after hours. But also look at ways to keep the campus open after hours. Things besides just school going on that engage our parents on the campus. One of the things that we have found is that if you get a person into a venue at a time other than what the venue's doing, what it usually does, they'll come back when the venue's doing what it usually does, right? If you get the parents there after hours, you have a better chance of them being engaged during hours. Use the technology that's going on with the students right now. We have a lot of technology that some of our local businesses are providing, Verizon particularly through the iPads that are going home with people, that we can use as a communication tool, both to engage that parent in that student's education and also to get the word out when we need to get it out. The biggest thing is be in the schools and listen, listen, listen. Thank you.
As was mentioned earlier, I've done some door knocking, and you learn a lot when you knock at somebody's door. Sometimes it's surprising what they say to you. And I think a lot of these folks that I've talked to, they can't tell me who represents them on the school board. I don't know if you've looked at the maps, but they are very creative. Is a kind word to say about how these districts are drawn. But our district, District 1, goes from North Irving all the way down to south of Shady Grove to the dump. If you haven't been to the dump, it's on Hunter Farrell, okay? So that's a wide expanse. I want to communicate with parents. As someone we've said, kids now have the devices at home. Let's send out newsletters. Let's send out bilingual newsletters. Let's meet the parents at their door if necessary, but let's convince them that we're on their side. We're not against them. We're all trying to move students forward.
I would like to increase the amount of communication we have with the school board, with parents and the community at large. I know it's been said 100 million times, but it really takes a village. And I think constant and clear communication, and not just relying on technology, but that face-to-face communication, increasing PTA and parent involvement, holding meetings where the parents are. I had an opportunity to go talk to a bunch of people that happened to be at the laundromat. And they were captive because outside of watching the laundry spin, there's not much they can do. So I held them captive. But I think parents and we have to train parents in an early age to know that we're here to listen to them and communicate with them.
Thank you very much. Since you guys have been very succinct with your answers, we do have time to take a question from the audience. So this is a question from the audience, and we'll start with Ms. Burton. Irving ISD has another new superintendent, and it is noted that we are in the bottom tier of performing schools. What one aggressive goal will you hold the superintendent accountable to help increase our standing?
The one goal I would say is we need to think outside the box on how we strategically move forward.
I've been around a little while, so I'm working with my 4th superintendent, and that's a lot. And it's time for some stability. It's really time to just calm that down and just focus on where we are now. And with that being said, I think, and it's not just on the superintendent, it's on every board trustee. So I'm not just making her the scapegoat. That's my responsibility as well. So, but a big time focus and something that we're looking at is retention of those great teachers. And not just retention, but recruiting the best teachers for Irving ISD, because they're the front line of defense, and that's what makes and break our school district. So that would be our focus, and that's something that Superintendent Hernandez is well aware of.
Once again, reading achievement and comprehension would be a main goal, but it's, with the superintendent, I think when we can build our staff, teacher, and administration morale, I I think the teachers will do the job that they're qualified for, and they'll do a better job at it. So building up the teacher, student, and campus morale would be my main initiative.
Thank you for that question from the audience. It's a great question. I would want to work with our superintendent, who is doing a very good job just walking in the door. She's experienced with Irving ISD. She knows our community, and that's a plus for the district. But I want to focus on high achievement for each student and what I believe it takes to get us from a B district to an A district, which is first and foremost, my platform consistently has been since the beginning of this campaign, is recruit and retain the highest quality teachers, pay them competitively so we don't lose them and we keep the great teachers that we have, so that we can get the high student achievement, make sure that we have those low class sizes so the teacher can effectively teach the students that she's responsible for. And that's what I would be looking at for improving our district and working with the superintendent and the board. Thank you.
A very key word that was said a while ago is stability. We do have to make sure that there's stability in our educators, that students get to see the same teachers year after year. It was really good when I was a kid to see the teacher I had last year back the next year. So I had someone that was still my advocate looking forward. If those teachers keep coming back, then those kids still have advocates that are behind them. You know, Carla, my wife, is planning to retire this year. She's an interventionist. Continuing intervention is one of the things that we have to do, I think, to continue to grow, to build towards what we want that grade that shows up on the book to be. A very big thing, though, that in visiting with some of the teachers that I talked to, by the way, across more than just this district, is that there has to be great leadership, quality leadership, administrative leadership on the campus that is truly an advocate for those educators on that campus. If you have great leadership at the top of the campus, then you're going to have people who are motivated to do a great job and to get our kids ready to go on to the next step.
I've had an opportunity recently to hear the superintendent speak several times, and she is moving quickly towards addressing teacher morale, which I think is a very smart thing to do. I don't think that you recognize a great teacher 1 week of the school year, and the rest of the school year you just treat them like they're just got to keep working. You know, you don't just give them a day. I think you give them support all year long. Teachers have to know they're appreciated. You'd be surprised. Many times teachers don't leave Irving because they don't get paid enough. They leave Irving because of the conditions in the classroom. Thank you.
Well, I agree with all of the candidates regarding teacher retention, teacher morale, but I think another issue we need to address is the safety in school and the students feeling secure and safe and cared for. There's bullying, there's school violence. We have a whole generation of students that do not know before 9/11. They do not know before Desert Storm. They do not know before Columbine. And that's an important issue that we need to address and the city needs to address with us, with the community. Thank you.
I agree with what Ms. Robbins said. Teachers are, we've had I agree with both Mr. Jenkins and Ms. Robbins, actually, because in the last, I'd say 6 to 8 years, we've had a huge hiatus out of Irving by teachers. It's not just how they're treated in the classroom, but it's also how they're treated by administrators. The superintendent has already reevaluated her cabinet and made the changes she'd like to see. She's communicating that with the board. She's communicating that with the teachers. Also, I'm really excited because some of the teachers that left are wanting to come back. One had her first day yesterday back in our district, having spent the last 4 years over in a different district. She has come back as one of the leaders under Superintendent Hernandez, and she just happened to be my vice principal when I was teaching. So I'm very excited, and I hope some of those fabulous educators do come back, because that's what we need. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That concludes the question part of the forum. And now we will end the school candidate platform with a 1-minute closing statement from the candidates. And we'll start with John and go to his right. Thank you.
I first want to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum this evening. It was very informative. Thank you very much for the invitation. Early voting starts next week, April 22nd to April 30th at Irving City Hall right here, at the Irving Arts Center, and at the Valley Ranch Library. If you live in Irving ISD District 6, I humbly ask for your vote. And I do want to thank the people of District 6 throughout the campaign. I've met many people, talked to many individuals. Everyone's been so nice and so kind. So I've enjoyed getting out in the community, and I want to thank the people of District 6 for listening to me and encouraging them to get out and vote. And once again, I would humbly ask for their vote in the school board election. Thank you.
Thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum and for you all for being here tonight. I mentioned tenure and position in my opening remarks to let you know I have a vested interest in this community, in District 6. That was the reason for me missing tenure. I've proven my leadership skills in this community. I've proven my collaboration skills in this community, and I've built bridges and partnerships throughout this community. So as an educated voter, which I consider myself, and I know you are, or you all wouldn't be here, make sure that you are interested in the tenure as well as the boards and positions that are listed in my material. Thank you.
Team of 8 is what it truly is, and that includes the 7 school board trustees as well as the superintendent. Not that you have to always agree, but respect is a big part of it, and that's what I bring to the board. There's nothing more important than to be mentioned or endorsed by your peers and your colleagues that you work with. So with that being said, I've been endorsed by the Honorable Nancy Jones, Valerie Jones, Nita Patrick, Rhonda Hepstepler, Heather Ashley Banks, Jerry Kristen. I didn't work with him, but I've also been endorsed by Will DeBerry. All have served on the school board, and as well as the outgoing school board trustees. I've been endorsed by Randy Necessary, Larry Stipes, as well as Stephen Jones. You've heard about my body of work, the experience, so I'm asking you to re-elect A.D. Jenkins. Thank you.
I am not currently sitting on the Irving ISD School Board. However, I do have many years of experience working with boards of organizations from nonprofit to Fortune 100 organizations that bring me in as a consultant to help them rethink the way things are being done. And for Irving ISD to be considered to be in the bottom third in the state, I would say that what the current board is doing, the person that is currently on the board, they can't guarantee that there's going to be any success going forward. What I can bring is a new perspective that can take us in a new place to get Irving ISD as a leader and not at the bottom.
I also want to thank the League of Women Voters for having us tonight, and I appreciate you asking us here to answer these questions. A minute isn't long enough for me to go over 60 years of all kinds of experience. I've been a mom, and sometimes not the nice mom. I have been the student, sometimes not the nice student. I have worked my way up from paraprofessional all the way to teacher. And this is what I want to do. I'm not dead yet, so I want to finish volunteering, giving service to the community I love. I've lived here and loved the Irving schools, and I just want to give back. So I appreciate you listening to me. I am the incumbent. I will be number 2 on the ballot, and I would appreciate you voting for me again to continue serving and helping the district move our children forward, and that is our goal. Thank you.
I likewise want to thank all of you for being here. I appreciate the work that the League of Women Voters have put in holding this forum. I believe, I know that I bring experience that will create stronger bonds between the community and the parents and the board, and bring focus back to the students and the abilities of the students. I have served in several positions through the city of Irving on different boards and commissions. I'm currently on the board of directors for the Heritage Society, and I know I can be a voice for the diverse community of Irving. And Pam reminded me, I'm number 1 on the ballot. I forgot. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to echo again, thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting us this evening. I also want to thank the volunteers that have worked in our campaign, all those folks out there in the lovely white T-shirts with the turquoise. I think you're making a fashion statement. I would like to encourage anyone that's worked with me or served with me, either on the Irving Heritage Society board or as an ordained deacon in my church, president of the Stewpot Alliance that serves homeless people for over 15 years. When I owned a teacher certification program that I started in my class, in my living room, I always gave 100%. And I'm going to tell you tonight that I will give it 100%. I'm honest, I'm forthright, I'm highly qualified, and the last thing is I need your vote. Thank you.
Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight, and thank you for attending. I've mentioned a couple of things about my background. I've worked in industry. Those skills that I've learned there, I think, will bring to the board a perspective that some others have, and I think would be a good thing. One of the things that we have to do in our district is to further an atmosphere of collaboration. Collaboration and communication across the students, across the teachers, across the administrators. If we do that, then we're also going to build an atmosphere of affirmation that will go across the students and the teachers. Our job is to meet the students where they are and to bring them along, to bring them to a place where they are prepared for life, that they are prepared to go out and do the things that they would like to do, and that actually, as I think it was Mr. Grimes said the other night, when I need their services, they're able to provide them. One of the things that we have to do is we have to really truly listen to our educators, listen to what they need, and then as a board, work to provide those. I will appreciate your vote to allow me to serve you through doing that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates, again, for sharing your thoughts and your plans for the school district. Now, you're welcome to step down, and next we'll have the city council candidates. We'll feature them in just a few minutes. Thanks.
Will you all please take your seats again so we can get started with the council candidates? Please take your seats. We're ready to start. If you all would take your seats, please. Thank you very much. We are fortunate that Councilman Meeker was able to get back in time to be with us, so we have a full slate tonight.
Yes, I was going to explain that. He flew back today to make the forum, so that's why he wasn't initially on on our schedule, but we appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate your attendance. This will be a similar format to the school board. You'll each have a 1-minute opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement, and you'll have 1 minute to answer the questions. And we will start with a 1-minute opening statement with Mr. Alani.
Good evening. Thank you so much for attending tonight. Greatly appreciated. Thanks to League of Women Voters for putting this forum up. My name is Cheyenne Elahi. I am a civil rights attorney and a trained mediator. I live and work in Irving. My office is right by In-N-Out. I'm sure you all know where that is. You know, I am a proud progressive, which to me means that I'm inclusive. I want to represent the changing demographics and diversity of Irving, and I want to make sure that I do town halls, which don't seem to be done here with city hall level, at least on regular basis, and take the input back to the city council. And I want to make sure that I do a newsletter so that everybody knows where their money is being spent and that they can know exactly what to say to their city council member when they run into them at the local TJ Maxx. So I want to make sure that we also balance our focus on small businesses just as we do on big businesses to divide the gap between South and North Irving. Thank you.
My name is Dinesh Mali. I'm a professional engineer with 40 years of experience in engineering. I'm running for this job because we have a need to redevelop the South Irving. With my education background, I like to join our mayor team to develop those projects that he's outlined in the in the meetings. And I made my agenda before we have a town hall meeting. I also would like to bring my experience as a professional engineer to talk to developer, investor, talk to the contractor, and be a liaison. I was a former school board member. I'd like to be a liaison between city and the school. And this is why I'm running for this project, this job. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Radwan Saleh. I've lived in Irving for 10 years. My wife and I have 3 children who were raised here in Texas. 2 of them were born in Texas, 1 in Iowa. We'd like to call him the red-headed stepchild of the family. I've lived here for 10 years. I'm concerned about security. Would love to increase security in our city and make it more secured. We look at the infrastructure of our city and would like to boost that because of there is so much economical boost that's coming in our city, and would like to make sure that it is sound. And finally, I believe that we could take Irving forward faster than its meager existence. Thank you. Alan and I are good friends. I was just jabbing him.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse Kohler, and I'm running for City Council, Place 2. Give you a little bit of background. I'm married to my lovely wife, who I met at Northlake College. We've lived in the Irving area for most of our lives. I came here back in 1976, so I do remember the Texas Stadium. I have experience in real estate, business and operational management, and accounting. I have lived in Irving for most of my life, but after 9/11, I answered the call to serve my country, where I became a platoon sergeant for the 82nd Airborne Division. I wasn't just an airborne infantryman jumping out of perfectly good airplanes. I actually worked in intelligence gathering, analytics, also was part of the risk management team, purchasing agent for the entire battalion. Also have 4 degrees. 2, one in business management, the other one is in accounting, bachelor's from UTA, and also have 2 degrees from Northlake, real estate and science, where I was actually on the president's list. Thank you.
How's everybody doing tonight? My name is Alan Meager. I'm currently serving as your Place 2 City Councilman. I'm serving my 2nd term. I'm up for re-election for the 3rd and final term. I'm a lifelong resident of Irving, Texas. I was raised here, went to MacArthur High School in 1980. I've raised my children here. They all went to MacArthur High School. Jesse, thank you for serving in the military. And I also have a son that's in active duty right now, serving on the carrier Dwight D. Eisenhower as an air traffic controller. And I'm very proud of him to be serving in the Navy. Now, I've served now in the City Council. This is my 6th year in Place 2. I've learned a lot. I was raised in this city. And I love this city. That's one reason I want to continue and finish my last term. I am finishing my bachelor's degree. I'll be graduating in May of this year with a major in marketing, major in management, minor in marketing. I worked for UPS Operations Management for 30 years and retired last year and went back to college. And I appreciate everybody being here tonight and listening to what we have to say. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll start with Mr. Ilani, and we'll have, this is the first question. It's a little bit long, so
Sure.
hopefully you guys will, if you need to repeat it, I'd be glad to repeat it. With all the demands on the city budget for infrastructure and development, and the possibility that the state will restrict cities' abilities to raise taxes, how will you find the funds needed to maintain and improve quality of life amenities such as libraries, museums, and parks?
I'm glad you talked about what the state is doing because I'm big on local control. I think we have to take proactive steps towards fighting the state for local control. You know, states always sue the federal government when something is taken from them, but cities never sue the state when the same happens to them. As a litigator, I can tell you that I'll be encouraging cities like Irving, if I get on the board, to sue the state because I think they're going out of the scope to limit us and taking away our local control. Having said that, I do think that there is an opportunity to look at how the commercial properties in this area are evaluated and to fight that appraisal to make sure that we get that tax money. And also, what I would like to do is, fight against sales tax. I'm not in favor of increasing sales tax because that goes to burden mostly the working people and people who are struggling rather than people who are property owners. Not everybody in Irving owns property. We should keep that in mind.
I like to work with the budget committee to look at what money we are getting from a state or what money we are losing with the 3% cap. And I would like to prioritize the need of, and spend those money on the need. That means if some of the money should go to repair the roads, some of the money can go to redevelop the South Irving, some of the money can go and support our museum, library, and parks. To me, this is a budget issue, and budget committee has to address this issue. I would like to be on that committee as a professional engineer. This is like I'm managing a project. You have a certain money to spend, and how will you divide that money? Where would you spend the money?
Think of city-owned land redevelopment. Think of incentivizing many of the construction developers to come back into Irving for different areas, especially South Irving. Think of the revitalization of the existing malls that are dying right now. We're driving all the way to South Lake and taking the money out. We'd love to get that back in here. And so perhaps working with our Chamber of Commerce, maybe we can come up with new ideas that could boost the economy of Irving. And rather than money going out, money comes in.
So one word to solve all the city's problems and answer all the concerns that the voters have is revenue, right? So $110 million comes from property tax revenue. 70 million of it comes from sales tax revenue. Now, at the city level here, based on our current population, we are running about $289 per capita. Now, if we compare it to, say, Carrollton, which is at 301, and we have Grand Prairie, which is at 338, that's an extra $2 to $11 million. And it doesn't seem like that's a whole lot of money per capita, but that actually extra $2 million could actually fund our vehicle and equipment replacement fund. So we need to encourage a culture that not only do we live and work here, but we spend here. Keep our dollars here in Irving. Thank you.
HB2 and SB2 are going through right now. I think they're going to do it at 3.5% right now. Now, if we drop 2% right now, 21% of your taxes are City of Irving taxes. That's 21%. It's going to make about a $20 difference per year on an average priced house. And that's what's going to change. If it drops, we drop it down to 2%. Infrastructure is one of the major things we have right now. Our roads are in bad shape. They really are. And we put a Roads to the Future, $100 million over 5 years, which is $20 million per year. If it's not just the cap that they're doing right now, it's going to hurt us. If they take away our franchise fee, there's a couple $1 million right there. They're trying to take away not just the little things, everything. And then we could actually end up losing about $28 million worth of revenue this year alone if the state takes away everything they can from us. So we will have to make do. We'll have to wait and see what the state does. And once they do that, when we get into our budget hearings, we'll have to do it because we do not want to cut back on any of the services of quality of life for the citizens of Irving, whether it's library, parks, anything. We're going to maintain them, keep them open, take care of them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the second question, we'll start with Mr. Malley, is a little bit shorter. What is your position on economic incentives from the city budget to developers?
We need to invite investors, we need to invite developers, and we need to do that. Just like any other project, when the Toyota factory came, we also had some incentive for them to come. But you also have to provide similar incentive to the developer. City cannot own the project. It has to come from the developer. In my opinion, we have to provide what is in it for them and what is in it for us. If the project is going to be profitable to city and also profitable for the investor, that's something I like to negotiate with them, and that's something I like to work on it.
3.1 million is awarded to cities from federal towards the states. And I believe that might not be big enough, but it's incentive enough for development in South Irving. As we all know, roads and infrastructure in South Irving needs a boost. And I believe if we incentivize companies to come in and to do that, then obviously we could make headways. Unfortunately, with 444 or so million dollar budget of our city at this grand scale, I believe we could do more. However, once again, Chamber of Commerce helps bring about 56 to almost $60 million annually. Now imagine with a little bit of innovation, we increase that 10 to 15% annually. I'm very sure we could help the city budget.
The city is doing a fantastic job with taking our current economic growth and applying economic development. Currently, right now, we are looking at $15.7 million that we applied to economic development. $15 million of it, well, almost $15 million, goes toward incentives. Whatever path that we go to, we have to remember it's about the voters. And when we, instead of using citizens to build businesses, we should be building businesses that serve citizens. Thank you.
We need to give incentives to keep a lot of our businesses here. We have two of the best Chamber of Commerce between our Irving Los Colinas Chamber of Commerce and our Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, keeping businesses within our city. We, in this Metroplex area, have competition like you would not believe. We have competition to the north trying to steal every one of our businesses from Irving to their cities. And what we're doing is we're not giving them money for what they already have, but anything they'll do to expand, whether it's putting millions of dollars into the building, hiring new people, business, personal property, above and beyond what they already have right now, we will give them incentives to stay in our city. And it's just above and beyond what they're already doing at this time. We do work incentive agreements. We do not want to lose them. If we do lose them, we lose everything. They move the entire operation to another city. So yes, we are always trying to keep the businesses. We're trying to incentivize them to stay because everybody else is chasing every business we have. Irving has the best location in the Metroplex for businesses, and we're right next to DFW Airport, and we need to keep them here. So yes, I believe in economic the incentives to keep it going as long as it doesn't affect the taxpayers of Irving. Thank you.
Just to be clear, the question's about developers, correct? And not necessarily just businesses. We're talking about developers here.
Correct.
Okay. So, first of all, the city council has to be very, very careful about even an appearance of conflict of interest when it comes to developers. No taking money from them or recusing yourself when they come in front of you. I mean, it's so simple. It doesn't happen. It should happen. Secondly, there should be no development. I believe in incentives. I believe in what Mr. Mali said, too. Yeah, you have to do the cost-benefit analysis, but you cannot allow any development in the 21st century without an actual impact study. What happened at the Cowboy Training Center was just atrocious. They basically brought it up a month before it was just going on. Nobody notices the notices they sent, pretty much. And then they only allow 200 feet from the property for the people who live 200 feet to actually have an input. So all those things need to change. We need to make sure that the city anything that's developed in the city should have an impact study done, and there should be a town hall to get the input from the people in order to have to make the right decision. So I'm all for incentives, but not without smart study and impact study.
Thank you very much. We have our third question, which is for Mr. Sala. What is your position regarding the city's ability to increase our inventory of affordable, workforce, or average income housing in the city?
I think it goes without saying that affordable homes is the pulse of our economy when it comes to finding these type of homes. Currently, as we all know, that homes that are in the range of 500,000 and 600,000 are basically what is the norm. But if you look at South Irving, imagine if we incentivize teachers to live in these affordable homes. That is an area that we need to also look at. It is a good mix that we have affordable homes in our city, and I think there should be a plan in order to get that going. But teachers deserve to have that type of affordable homes in our city.
The government is not in the business of creating markets. We make our economic decision, or the economic decisions are based on markets. Our job as a city is to effectively raise revenues that provide services for its citizens today through budgetary compliance and without violating any interperiod equity. Rodney Anderson, I just want to read a quote because I worked on his campaign, said this: "It is not a proper role of government to guarantee outcomes. Its proper role is to keep a stable regulatory environment that allows businesses to prosper." Thank you.
Affordable housing is not the responsibility of any city to build within the city. Now, we have, in the city of Irving, we're doing a study right now to see what the price range is of all the houses within our city right now from north, south, east, and west. We'll have a lot better understanding once the survey is done or the study has been done. There is a lot of affordable housing within our city, and it's hard to build any new housing that you can call it affordable. Land prices are way too high. If they try to build something, the neighbors, first of all, come up and they don't want 50 homes built, they want 30 homes built, and then every time you lower the number of homes, the price goes up. So affordable housing, new construction really doesn't exist. HUD does help out a lot of times to build on, we do it occasionally with some of our nonprofits. One thing I do like on affordable housing and workforce housing is when HUD helps out, or the city does help out by funding through the state, or I'm sorry, not through the state, through our government, is fixing up some of these affordable houses that are in the $100,000 to $150,000 range, fixing them up, making them now nice homes, and that also helps the entire neighborhood, not just that one house, but the entire neighborhoods. Thank you.
So I completely disagree. As a progressive, I do believe that the city not only has a duty, but a community of people that live together in boundaries called a city have a duty to each other to help each other out. Essentially what they're saying is it's okay for people to be displaced who've been living here 30, 40, 50 years. That's not right. You know, some people call it gentrification, and I know that that's a buzzword, but at the same time, that's exactly what happens. So if I'm a city council person, I will give incentives to people who want to make affordable housing. Why not? There is plenty of space. We just have to make sure that we find the spot, that we ask those people to come in. Also, I want to make sure there's a homeless shelter in Irving. This is a large city. It's not just a suburb. And any city that doesn't have a homeless shelter says we don't care, but we do care here. I know that. There's so many people who care. They've been trying to make a homeless shelter for a while, and we want to make sure that it happens. If I'm a council member, I'll make sure that becomes one of my priorities.
I drive around the city, and I know from north Las Colinas to South Irving, there are plenty of land available in the city limits. The thing is, developer has to develop those things to make it profitable. The pricing of the home depends on the need and the economical factor. So the thing is, we cannot afford a $250,000 house in South Irving, but that $250,000 house in Las Colinas is a bargain. So this is all economical factor, depending on family's income, family's choice, what they want to do. But I would say all the developer drive by. There are plenty of land in the city of Irving. You can build the housing.
If I may just applaud the city on the two-door lane project. The city has done a great job on that. I just wanted you to know.
Thank you. All right, we'll now start with Mr. Kohler. Is that how I say your last name? Yes, ma'am. Okay. This question is a short one as well. It's how can the city better cooperate with our local school districts for the benefit of all residents? Okay. How can the city better cooperate with our local school districts for the benefit of all residents?
Well, actually, I believe education is one of the foundations of our great society. One of my promises is to protect our children and our schools. I've worked with an individual by the name of Sean Griffin who works for the Dallas Community College, and he has shown me some of the programs that they're doing. Also, some of the deals that they do is Dallas Promise, which in essence, once a student exhausts their federal and state funds, Dallas Community College will actually come in and cover the rest of their tuition so that they can move on with a 2-year degree and transfer it over to a 4-year degree.
Well, some of the things we can do is with our high schools, working with the city in different departments, whether it's the water department, street department, all of our different departments, and working because a lot of kids don't want to go to college. It'll give them a good trade. There's a lot of good experience, there's good jobs in all the cities in the Metroplex, but if we can work with the high schools and the local community college to get our students, our young adults, into a program that they actually enjoy, something they want to do, and get them trained properly, it's a win-win for everybody, the schools and the city. Also, the city is working with all the schools, and we're doing parks, and we're doing a park program and building them on school property, so it's giving the city residents a place to go, as well as the schools, and building a nice park in each one of our schools. So the city right now is working with our school district, but we need to do more. We've got a Leadership Irving program and a few others. We would like the students to come and learn about the city and learn about the jobs in the city, and we can actually do some type of internship in the future, I believe. Thank you.
So the first thing I would do is look into the school safety issues. Because, the resource officers are half funded by us and half funded by school board. And basically, we want to make sure that we have enough resource officers and enough counselors in schools to help our young people. There was a murder in North Lake College just 2 years ago, and no safety measures have been modified. And I think that's unacceptable. That's in Irving, right? So it is the duty of a city council. We understand those are separate entities, but we do need to work together to keep our children safe and to keep our school-going population safe. Also, I would like to basically want to do more town hall meetings, want to do more interaction with parents who will, it's a very diverse city. All the people from all over are coming here. We want to make sure that, and it brings itself, with itself more challenges and more blessings, right? It's that situation. So I want to do more town halls to make sure that as a city council member at large, I act as a liaison, if need be, between the city council, the people, and the ISD to make sure that I connect them. So my office will be open to that as well.
Buy one, get one free. I'm an old school board member, and I come from school board to city hall. To me, it will be obvious to work with our school board members. I have experience with the school board, and that experience will be utilized as a councilman, and there will be no training required because I already have training from Randy necessary. And I would say I will be very, very happy to be further liaison between school board and our city. I do know inroads that city could use as my experience. To me, school board is doing a wonderful job. They have challenges of their own, and you have heard them before us. Thank you.
The city has an incumbent duty to obviously protect the safety of our schools. especially obviously high schools and what have you. That being said, I think the city could work once again with the Chamber of Commerce. We have 8,300 or 8,000, almost 500 businesses right here in Irving. We have about maybe 20 or so of these Fortune 500 incorporations, and obviously 5 or maybe 8 Fortune 500 companies. Now, just imagine if we work with these companies to enable such programs where these students in the future could also be employees of the city of Irving, which also a revenue generating for the future.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we have 2 questions from the audience, and we'll start with you, Mr. Meager. This is a 3-part one, and you addressed this briefly, but we're going to give everyone a chance. Are you in favor of a homeless shelter? And if so, how would you get it approved and developed? And how would you ensure that how would you help maintain the shelter for the long term?
I'm not in favor of it. I've heard from a lot of the residents in the city. There's there's a few homeless people down in downtown, and I have seen them on a regular basis. I've been asked not to support a homeless shelter in the city because the residents are scared that if we do build a homeless shelter within the city limits of Irving, we'll just get more and more homeless coming here from Dallas and other cities. There are multiple churches and nonprofit organizations within our city that work with the homeless. They feed them, give them clothes, take care of them during inclement weather. A lot of the homeless that I have talked to in downtown don't want to go anyplace. They just want to stay down there. I've actually talked to them, see if I can get them something to eat, and they just want to be left alone. So a homeless shelter I do not feel is the right thing for Irving at this time, and I'm going to listen to the people who have talked to me about it, and they do not want it, and I'm going to support what they believe in. Thank you.
So, as I said, I'm in favor, and not only that, I can put it to referendum. Anecdotal evidence is not enough to negate something that we feel in our hearts is the right thing to do, and that most cities do everywhere. Sure, people will come, but this is sort of NIMBYism, right? It's not in my backyard, somewhere else. Well, we have a moral duty. We are a great city, and great cities do great things and do difficult things. We have a great police department. We need to fully fund them, have more police officers, make sure, obviously, if somebody does crime, that's a different thing, but we cannot say all homeless people do crimes or vandalize or things like that. People have different issues why they become homeless. But the bottom line is this: if I'm elected, I will show leadership to bring people along, to do town hall meetings on it, and put them on ballot if need be. Let people of Irving decide exactly, not just a few people who speak to me or other council members decide exactly how it should be done. And we will get it done because Irving's a great city and Irving cares. Isn't that also an organization we have? So let's care. Let's really care.
Being a homeless is something happened. And sometimes it is happened by choice, sometimes happened by circumstances. To me, I would prefer to go to churches, temples, and other places, have them prepare a program, have them come, these homeless people, say to church, to a temple, or to a mosque, and sometime offer them a choice to re-employ, give them some training so they can go back to work. I think this is what I would do.
Obviously, when we look at the faith community, they have done a great job. I believe there are many churches, many mosques, many synagogues and temples who have opened their doors and they're helping. In Seattle, Washington, there were some churches who came in with vehicles and they stopped at any location where there are homeless, and they would take them and offer them menial jobs, cleaning maybe the city or helping in different areas, and so that they would earn income. And obviously that is part of dignifying them rather than standing and maybe asking for money. As far as the homeless shelters, we already have some. If you go to my Facebook page, you will find it is a list of homeless shelters that exist right here in Irving and in the DFW area. So we do have homeless shelters. However, in the city of Irving, the way that we see it, there is a lot of faith community that are helping right now, and may God bless them.
Well, I agree with Councilman Meager. It is up to the voters, and we take direction from you. When it comes to the homeless, we've got to be careful not to stigmatize them. We need to show compassion and empathy, but I mean, let's be real. How many of us are one accident or catastrophe away from being displaced? But as far as when it comes to a homeless shelter, maybe not in the traditional sense, but maybe a hardened structure that provides overnight shelter that would get them out of the elements during bad weather, or a place to sleep. I mean, I've seen capital assets being put up as low as $250,000. But I'm open to that, and I'm open to serving and hearing from the people on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we will have one more audience question, and we'll start again with Mr. Ilani. Now that the Music Factory and Water Street are nearing completion, what ideas do you have to revitalize the canal area in the urban center?
Well, first of all, you know, Music Factory has had its issues. Litigation, $44 million spent by the city, you know, or fought over with the city. So I think Music Factory, even though it's open, it's not being utilized by most of Irving. It's only taking in a certain social strata of people in Irving, and I want to fix that. I want to make sure that anything that is based on Irving taxpayers' money is utilized by everybody. The other ideas I have is, obviously, I think I'm a big small business person. I run a small business, a law firm, for the last 15 years. I want to make sure we grow more organic small businesses there, kind of mom and pop cafes, things like that, so we can have more of a city culture, so people can walk around the canals, you know, more than just the cigar shops they have there, or the cigar, I believe, bars or things like that. So I would encourage that and hopefully bring that kind of atmosphere to the canal area.
City is always doing a canal fest, and that event is coming up pretty soon. If you really want to know what's going on in a canal fest, you will see that a lot of people come, and they enjoy outing, they enjoy food, and they enjoy entertainment. These are all temporary. But to me, if this goes on more and more and more, the business people will realize there is a crowd, and they can make a profit for doing this event. And to me, going from a Toyota Music Factory, the canal is the right place to go.
I don't think there is any project that is built in any city without issues, and we should never politicize any project that came to fruition. The project is done. How can we take it to the next step? How can we move forward? Well, number one, if there is a segment of our society are not able to use that facility, well, let's find a way. And that way could be maybe redesigning some of the busing system that could bring people to that area easily. At the same time, what type of businesses are coming up there, as it has been mentioned a minute ago? In my opinion, once the project is done, let's not politicize it. It's done. It's been paid for. Let's find a way to make it work and bring more money into Irving.
I don't think there's any issues going on over there in North Irving. I think they're doing just fine. In fact, I believe that they have some plans going on over there with the art group. But what about the fact of Irving Mall and our Plymouth Park? We should probably be focusing on them. And although it's not a revitalization issue due to its private ownership, it's a property management issue. In fact, if anybody is curious about what's going on over at Plymouth Park, I invite you to come talk to me because of the details that we have found that my team and I have discovered about that property owner. Thank you.
I'm sorry, the question was about the urban center? What was the question?
Now that the Music Factory and Water Street are nearing completion, what ideas do you have to revitalize the canal area in the urban center?
Okay, that got kind of sidetracked there. Okay. Urban Center. What we have now is the Westin Hotel just opened up on March 30th. I don't know if you've had a chance to go out and see it. It's an upper upscale, beautiful. It's keeping the people that are coming to our convention center, instead of going to other cities, what we have is they're staying in the hotel, going to our conventions, and using the Music Factory and Water Street. At this time, we do have a developer that's working on the canal. One of the biggest issues with the canal was parking. It was too expensive to park and go down there, and all the businesses from back when it opened up have shut down. Now, we do have a developer that is going to put escalators in there. It's going to have valet parking on the side street, escalators, so any citizen of Irving can just pull up, get out of your car, go down an escalator down to the canal, and he's going to revitalize it. There's going to be outdoor dining. There's going to be quite a bit going on the canal. You should be hearing something about that in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I've met with him several times now. It's going to revitalize the whole area. And like I said, the Westin has really helped out the area. Water Street is doing great. They're asking for a Cinco de Mayo celebration out on the grass. So everything in that area right now is booming, and we'll see the canal booming soon too. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That's it for our questions. And now we'll do the closing statements, and we'll start with Mr. Meager. Go that way.
I don't, you can start down there now.
I know, sorry.
It's a meager thing, you know. Okay, I got it. I was going to say there's a meager turnout at the forums, but, you know, we'll get to that one later. Okay, I'm sorry. My time's starting now, by the way. By the way, thank you all very much for coming out tonight. Like I said, my name is Alan Meager. I am currently serving as your Place 2 candidate. The entire city votes on this, and it's very important. I have, like I said, I served 5 years on the P&Z from 1999 to 2004 before I got on the council to get a little bit of experience about the city, even though I've been here my entire life. I did serve in Place 3 for 7 years and did not run for the last term, which I could have. I stepped down to go take care of my family and the business I was in at the time. Came back a couple years later, got on Place 2. This is finishing my second term. I'm waiting to do my third, and then I'll be termed out. And I don't know what I'll do after that, but I would really like, and I'd appreciate your vote and your support in this upcoming election. We have a lot going on in Irving, especially with what they're doing in Austin right now with their 16% increase. They're doing quite a bit and taking a lot away from the city. So the Irving's going to have some tough times this coming year with making sure that our budget is balanced and making sure everything for our citizens is taken care of and we don't cut back on anything. Once again, my name is Alan Meager, and I appreciate your vote in this upcoming election. Thank you.
So a lot of people ask me, why am I running? And I'm a first-time runner. And it's because I care about my community. I care about Irving. And I look at all the great folks sitting right here, right now, that have helped build this great city. And I've said it a million times, but I love it. It's inspirational that us youngins are merely dwarves standing on the shoulders of giants. And we actually all salute you for the great work that you've done to help build this city. And I believe that my professional and military experience has helped shape me to be able to become a public servant who will continually add value back to our community. And I've successfully managed businesses and people. I've been entrusted with the very lives of our highly trained professionals and have been entrusted with millions of dollars worth of equipment. But even more importantly, I have a unique skill set that actually is able to read, comprehend, and maneuver the complexity of the city's financial statements, the very lifeblood of the municipal policies and your hard-earned tax dollars. And I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
We all know that Irving is moving in a rapid space and faster than we could even imagine. Now, affordable housing is an issue. Infrastructure is another issue, and of course, street maintenance. The challenge that we need to face in the upcoming years is the greatest challenge, which would be accommodating this development boom that we see in our city. If elected, I'll be the type of person who will sit with City Council and work diligently on strategic plans. We really need strategic plans. We cannot engage in any projects that we turn around within 10 or 15 years and we get to regret them. Money has been spent, and it is the tax money that has been spent. And we need to absolutely put that into good use so that Irving is a place where DFW is proud of. and that people coming into it rather than going out of it to spend their money. Thank you.
Irving is a land of opportunity where the dreams come true. And if you want to make a change, you have to be part of a change. I'm a part of a change. What projects are coming up, carried out by our mayor, I am a most qualified person to handle those projects. I'm a professional engineer. I want to get the thing done. I want results. I like to work with the investor. I like to work with the developer. I like to work with the city. I like to work with the school board. And then I want to get things done. To me, you are investing your vote in me. A financial advisor always tell you past performance is not guaranteed for future result. I am future. And please invest your vote in me, and I will deliver.
Thank you again for being here and for League of Women Voters for having us. You know, I believe as a progressive that any body that is decision-making body needs to have a balance. I believe City Council can use a progressive right now who will see things a little differently and bring a different perspective to this, as you might have seen today. I stand differently on many issues. And again, I respect all opinions, but I want to tell you that my progressive values will come to the City Council if elected. You know, I get them from my father who's sitting there, and I want to represent the people, the diverse people of Irving, and bring their voice here. I have some ideas. I have, an agenda regarding how to make Irving better, and I want to make sure that if elected, I will be transparent and accessible. So I would appreciate your help to get on the City Council, and I will always listen to you. And I'm number 1 on the ballot, so if you don't remember my name, just number 1 on the ballot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, candidates. And I just wanted to mention, these are the candidates for place 2 at large. We do have two other races, but those candidates are unopposed, and that's John Danish for place 1 and Kyle Taylor for place 7. So we really appreciate you taking your time to participate and to serve Irving. The league would also like to thank ICTN and the city and our sponsors. We had the Irving Hispanic Chamber and the Las Colinas Association. And we want to thank you, the audience, for attending, your attention, and for your political interest. We hope what you have heard will be of interest and help you as you vote. Remember, early voting is April 22nd to April 30th, and Election Day is May 4th. Thank you very much. Thank you.